Hi, and welcome. You're listening to the X22 Report. My name is Dave, and this is episode 1454B, and today's date is December 21st, 2017, and the title of the episode is Desperation is Setting In, the Cabal is Trapped. Now, before I get started, I just want to make an announcement. I uploaded an interview with Jeff Nielsen. It is on the X22 Report Spotlight YouTube channel. So all you need to do is go over to YouTube, type in X22 Report Spotlight. It will bring you to the interview, or you can come over to the X22Report.com or NewsSentinel.com. Scroll down a little bit on those sites. Look over to your right-hand side. You'll see the video on the site. You can play the interview right on the site. Or you can go to Steemit. That is steemit.com/@X22Report. And you can play the interview right on Steemit. Let's get into the economic collapse, political and geopolitical news. Now, over the year of 2017, we've been seeing a lot of truth bombs that have been coming out. The Uranium One deal, the sex scandals, which will lean into the pedo ring. We're seeing FBI agents who have been lying, who've been falsifying information. And we're going to see a lot more of this because one thing is going to lead into another. I mean, the missing $21 trillion, we have other professors looking at this and saying, okay, we know that this is completely missing. They're tracking down where this has gone. And once they find out where all this has gone and what has been used to pay for and things like that, many people are going to be in trouble, where we're going to see maybe trials, people going to jail, unless they have some type of distraction and they distract everyone's attention from what is really coming out. But as we can see, what is happening is they're letting out a little bit of this information at a time because they don't want to shock the public. Can you imagine if they come out with everything straight out and saying, yeah, corruption, dealing with the Russians, Uranium One deal, FBI works for the Cabal, yeah, we have a pedo ring, we have all of this happening, there's corruption, people taking bribes, the entire system here with everyone in it would just collapse. People would riot. It would be a nightmare, and people wouldn't believe. Just like when you first woke up and you heard things, you became angry, pissed off, you couldn't believe, and then eventually you did a little bit of research and you started to realize that, oh yeah, they're lying to me, and I'm researching the truth and I'm finding out more and more, and I'm finding out that, yeah, they're continually lying to me, and this whole system is based on one gigantic lie. So what they're doing is they're coming out very, very slowly, introducing a little bit of truth at a time so people get used to it. And we're going to see this continue, and they're going to let out a lot more. And what we're seeing right now is Attorney General Jeff Sessions. He's instructed the Department of Justice prosecutors to begin asking FBI agents for explanations regarding evidence pertaining to a dormant criminal investigation into the Uranium One deal. So we can see already that this is moving forward, and they're going to be investigating this deal. And this is going to implicate a lot of different individuals like Obama and the rest, and people are going to find out many different things. Ex-FBI Assistant Director, he is out there saying that the FBI will soon step forward and expose the Cabal. Now remember, in all of these different departments, there are good guys and bad guys, and we can see that right now that those who have been dealing with corruption under the table, dealing with the Cabal, the whole organization, and pushing their agenda forward, they're going to be exposed, and we're going to see them exposed. I mean, remember when they came out and they started out with the fake news because they tried to gain control to show that, hey, this is why Trump got elected, and anything the alternative media says, it's all fake news. This is really where they were going with that. Because first of all, they didn't think the alternative media was that big of a deal in the beginning. And then they started to realize that more and more people were listening to them, and they got very nervous, and they started up with the campaign of fake news, but again, Trump turned it around, and they kept calling them fake news and pointing out different stories. And again, he has access to everything within government, so he knows what is really going on. He knows the truth. He has the data, and he's going to leak a lot of this stuff out there to let everyone know what's really going on. Just like with Obama spying on him, people didn't believe it, and then it turns out that, yeah, they really did do this. And what we're seeing right now is that Facebook, Google, YouTube, they all started these fact checkers. They started these little tag things for disputed articles. And they were hoping that people would be like, see, this is fact check, so this is real, this is fake, report those fake news. It's backfiring. Facebook right now is ditching the disputed article tag because what they've realized is that after research, it showed that the fact-checking initiative was ineffective. Of course it was, because the fact-checking is not really checking facts. They're just spinning it in a different way. And now they're going to rework this and show related articles. So they're going to show multiple articles on the same subject and let people decide which is true and which is false, which is the right way to do it. Because, again, people can put out anything, but people have to do their own research to realize what is the truth and what is fiction. And I think what's going to happen is people are going to research now and say, hey, this is the truth, this is fake. And this is why a lot of people have been turning towards the alternative media. And I think we're going to see a lot more of this. And I don't know how far the Cabal is going to let this go until they have some type of an event that distracts everyone from what is going on. And that is the biggest worry right now, because we could see that they're building up the propaganda against North Korea with the WannaCry malware virus, where they're saying that North Korea is completely responsible for this, but we just can't show you any proof. And this is where the propaganda always falls apart, because they can't show you proof. North Korea is out there, the North Korea's foreign ministry is saying that, yeah, we're not behind the cyber attacks. We're not behind the WannaCry cyber attack. We don't have anything to do with it. And please prove it to us and the rest of the world if we are actually responsible for this. And this is where it falls apart. Because when Russia or China or any other country says, please prove it, this is where they can't do it. Yes, they're going to throw out IP addresses, and that's very easy to do. And you have to remember, the CIA had Vault 7. They were able to create malware where they can emulate any other country, put breadcrumbs within the malware, make it look like it came from there, bounce it off many servers, and make it look like, oh yes, we found the IP address. Now, any state actor is not going to launch some type of cyber attack or malware from their country. They're not going to use their own IP addresses. They will use multiple IP addresses from all over the world to do this. And once again, they need to show proof to convince the public. Now, what's very interesting is that there was an article from the Washington Post, and this is where it originated from, where they're saying that the Trump administration officially approved lethal arms sales to Ukraine. Now, we need to go back in time a little bit and look at this. Now, I looked at the Washington Post article, and it's kind of lacking with proof. And when you dig a little bit deeper, we need to understand that the Ukrainian Freedom Support Act, which was signed in 2014, this was during Obama, this was signed into law, and it authorized defense articles, defense services, and training to the government of Ukraine for the purpose of countering offensive weapons and reestablishing the sovereignty and territorial integrity of Ukraine. And this included anti-tank and anti-armor weapons, crew weapons and ammunition, counter-artillery radars to identify targets, artillery batteries, fire control rangefinders, optical and guidance control equipment. And what we need to understand is that they're out there saying that, yes, this has been authorized, and now the White House has approved lethal weapons, lethal defensive weapons to Ukraine. Well, this was in the Ukrainian Freedom Support Act. And the White House is saying, yeah, we have not done this. And what the reports are saying is that the administration of the U.S. president approved commercial license for exports to Ukraine of a Beretta M107A1 sniper systems, munitions, spare parts for them, to sum up to $41.5 million. And, of course, the Washington Post was out there saying we have crossed the Rubicon, this is lethal weapons, and they predict more will be coming. Now, when we look at this, there is nothing new here in the lethal weapon sales to Ukraine. The U.S. government is not selling the Ukrainian government these weapons. Under the previous two administrations, the U.S. government has approved export licenses to Ukraine. And what this means is other companies privately can sell lethal weapons. Earlier in 2017, Southfront revealed facts and documents confirming a sale of shoulder-fired rocket launchers by Airtronic, a U.S. manufacturer in Texas, to Ukraine. Now, according to the documents, the U.S. firm signed a contract with Kiev government on November 11, 2016. And what this means is that this has already been in place. This is nothing new. They're just rehashing what has already been done and placing it on the administration, saying that he approved this in some way. No. This has been ongoing since 2016. Private companies have been selling lethal weapons to Ukraine since 2016, or actually 2014, if we go back in time. And they've done it in 2015, they've done it in 2016, and they've done it in 2017. So the story coming out of the corporate media is a little misleading. And remember, what they're trying to do is they're trying to get something started out in Ukraine. Remember, who was out there? Lindsey Graham, McCain. What was their message? They're neocons. What was their message? This is the year of the offensive in Ukraine to go after the southeastern territories and Crimea. This is their main objective because they spent $5 billion to take Ukraine and they don't have it. We see right now that the United States said it welcomed an announcement by the Saudi-led coalition to keep the port in Yemen open for a month to allow humanitarian aid. And this was a call out to Saudi Arabia to say, listen, you need to remove the blockade and allow humanitarian aid into Yemen. And it looks like they're going to be doing this for 1 month. We see right now that there might be a shift in Yemen. Right now, the administration's pick for the top legal advisor at the State Department has acknowledged the U.S. could be violating its own laws and international law by restricting delivery of humanitarian aid in Yemen. And U.S. statutes prohibiting American assistance to countries preventing the delivery of humanitarian aid may be applied in the case of Yemen. And this new individual who's coming in might change things up in Yemen. We see right now that the UN General Assembly votes overwhelmingly against recognition of Jerusalem as Israel's capital. Now, what has happened here is that the Arab nations have banded together and they rejected what the U.S. wants to do, where they want to make Jerusalem the capital of Israel. And I believe we discussed this many times before. This was done on purpose. The world is speaking out and saying this isn't right. The Arab nations are banding together. This is going to be a push to get Russia involved to talk about a two-state solution. And we could see that this is moving in that general direction. And of course, Nikki Haley is out there saying we're going to be taking names and we're going to fight those people and those people are going to pay for what you've done. Now, in an open and free democratic voting system, you don't take names, you don't threaten people, because everyone has the right to vote the way they want to vote. And if they don't vote the way the way you want them to vote, you don't threaten them. So you can see that she is part of the cabal because they only think in black and white. If you don't do it our way, then you're against us. And you can see this, it's coming out as clear as day. And this is what is happening right there. We see right now Russia is granting Turkey a loan to cover part of the S-400 missile deal, and they're going to be getting delivery around 2019 or so. And we can see that they're going to be loaning Turkey some funds to get the missiles. Now, what's very interesting is that the corporate media is slowly admitting that the U.S. supplied weapons to the Islamic State. Now, of course, what they're saying is they supplied it to the moderate rebels, and then it moved over to the Islamic State. And eventually what they'll do is, the story is going to break that, yes, the Cabal, once everything starts to break down, they supplied weapons to the Islamic State. They supported them, they created them, and everything else. And what's very interesting is that the Syrian Arab Army, the Tiger Forces, they arrived in northern Hama this week with a big surprise where they had the weapons from the Islamic State, and they were using the U.S. weapons against the Islamic State and the other paid mercenaries. So we could see right now that things are rapidly falling apart in Syria. And the other thing that we can see right now is the U.S. has fully suspended its support for all FSA groups in northern and southern Syria. Now the U.S. even closed its military operations center called Mach in Jordan, where they trained, they housed, they gave them weapons. That is going to be closed down. There's going to be no financial aid to any of these groups anymore. The U.S. also shut down another military operations center in Turkey named by Turks Mom. And we can see right now all support for the Kurds, the moderate rebels, everything out in Syria is coming to an end, which means the Cabal is trapped. They're going into desperation mode. Why? We have the truth being leaked out slowly but surely. People are running for cover. The Middle East is a disaster right now. They've lost everything that they worked for. North Korea is going nowhere. They're trying the same exact scare tactics that they used back with 9/11 and the Islamic State and everything else, but no one is buying it. I mean, they're going biological weapons and they're saying anthrax. They're using everything they possibly can to scare the American public into thinking that we need to go to war. And they're trying everything they possibly can. And what is happening right now is everything is falling apart all at once. And it can't be stopped. And more of this information, more of the truth is going to come out, and more of the Cabal is going to be shut down over here, over there. And you could see that the corporate media, they're trying everything to make up these stories that, we're going for war, we're supplying weapons. They're doing everything they possibly can. And everything really goes back to them, because who was supplying weapons to Ukraine? Who had regime change? Who was supporting the Islamic State, the moderate rebels? Who trained them? Who created them? Who did all this? Who tricked the people into giving up their rights? The Cabal. They are desperate now. And desperate groups of people do really scary stuff. And we can see that they are going to push their agenda right now. Just like 9/11. Someone was investigating the $2-something trillion that was missing from the Pentagon on September 10th. And all of a sudden, and this was not just the only reason, we had an event. This was a cover-up. Do you really think all these people are going to say, yeah, come and get me? No, they're going to say, holy crap, we need to cover this entire thing up, because if this breaks open, we're all screwed. And this is why they're going to have a distraction of distractions if they can get it off the ground. And this is why you need to be ready and prepared, because we can see the economy cannot be sustained, kept up anymore. It's breaking down very, very rapidly. Their system is breaking down very, very rapidly. You put both of these together, they're desperate. They need to cover up from what is going to come out. And they don't want to be put in trial. They don't want to go to jail. They don't want anyone looking into where the $21 trillion actually went. They don't want all the crimes they committed to be brought out into the open. They don't want this. So what are they going to do? They got to cover it up. And if they have the ability to do this right now, this is what they're going to do. Listen, everyone, thanks a lot for listening. Be well, be safe, and especially be prepared. Thanks a lot.